Can you describe the color wheel and how a therapist can make use of it?
Many, many years ago, I was at a psychiatric conference with a friend, Dick Arbogast, and we got bored, and we went to some lunch counter, and we started thinking about positive emotions rather than negative emotions. You know, the negative emotions that psychiatrists spend their lives dealing with are depression and anxiety. And we don't deal with hate that much, but that's a negative emotion, and existential despair, and so on and so on. But the positive emotions are really not part of what we do. I started thinking, what are their names? Like joy and serenity and bliss and love and pride, the good kind of pride. And then I thought, well, I'll just write these names down on pieces of paper and cut out the pieces of paper and see if they sorted into any kind of pattern. And before I was finished fiddling, I came upon 6 different dimensions. And the 6 different dimensions seemed in a way to correspond with the primary and secondary colors. Primaries being blue, yellow, and red, and the secondaries being green, purple, and orange. And if you put those colors on a wheel, like a pie, and start up in the top with a 6th slice of pie and put yellow there, and then go around clockwise, you'd have yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, green, and back to yellow. And the positive emotions, I thought, could more or less fit into those segments. And the first one, Mike, the first one is joy. And all the different manifestations of joy, high energy, positive emotion. You know, jumping for joy, exuberance, exhilaration. The joy can be kind of mild or it can be intense. Let's go from, let me define these and then go into how to use them. So let's move over to blue next. And blue is just the label. It stands for the lower energy, the mellow, good feelings, like serenity, tranquility, and the most intense of the low intensity good feelings, I think, is the feeling we call bliss. Now, in a way, yellow and blue do represent high and low energy. And I remember talking with a blind person about this, and she said, yeah, those are the colors that I can't see, but I associate with those emotions because I know about the sun and I know about water and sky, and it fits. Red, in most conventions, is used to symbolize love. It's the color of Valentine hearts. But red, you could have a hue difference, not just an intensity difference. So the red that is closer to orange and yellow, the hot red, could represent the kind of love feeling that is romantic, mysterious, uncertain, and has passion in it. The deep red, like a deep wine, the red that's closer to purple and blue, could be used to represent the kind of love of friendship, of mother and child, the deep, secure, attached love, giving and getting. And again, there can be more or less intense feeling of love. Love is pretty complicated because there's feeling loved and feeling loving. It has a lot of variety in it. Let's go across the pie chart from love to self-love. That's green. And I find myself dealing with green with a lot of my patients. They don't have enough green. They're capable of feeling joy. They don't have much in the way of self-esteem. And if they do have a feeling of almost triumph, a wonderful accomplishment, doesn't last very long. There could have been a long time also between any kind of a of a sensation in that part of the spectrum. So let's let green stand for the good feelings about ourselves. And now we're left with orange and purple, and here I'm just assigning colors to the feelings I think that are left over. Orange would be the area of sensuality and purple spirituality. So in orange would be all the physical sensations that feel good. It could include sexual feeling, but it would include good taste, good touch, good smell, the sensation itself, not the sensation and the emotion, not just the yellow or blue, the emotion of joy or the emotion of serenity. It's in the realm of the senses. And what's left, if we go from sense, let's go to spirit. And purple is an interesting concept because in the purple area, those who are religious and experience a personal relationship and feeling that they associate with God's love or their love of God can meet those who are not religious, but who experience a sense of awe, reverence, at once feeling small and feeling large because you're part of the cosmos. It may be that our species' ability to have that feeling reinforces us for finding our niche in our ecological space, for experiencing sun filtering through tall trees, and then in cathedrals we recreate that kind of an environment and that kind of a feeling. Something that puts us in our place, but also feels that we're part of a much, much larger experience and meaning. So again, the colors are not meant to be anything other than labels for the positive feelings that we humans are capable of having. And I found from time to time it really helps to bring out the wheel, the colors, and start talking with a patient. How's your blue? How's your yellow? I remember going with a very now well-known, after she's died, trauma therapist to China. And she was manic depressive. And I was talking with her, this is back in '83, talking with her about the colors. And when she got to blue, she burst into tears. And she said, you know, I'm incapable of that. I know what it means, but if my energy level is down, I get terribly depressed. That was an eye-opener for me, and I started looking for that in other people. I found it from time to time. The person who's dancing as fast as she can, that kind of character. There are some people who need to be revved up in order to avoid biological depression. So somehow their mood and their energy is connected. I use a little scale with people where 0 is not experiencing any of that feeling at all. And 5 is experiencing more than I usually feel. And 8 is as much as I've ever felt in my life. And that leaves 9 and 10 for the future, where maybe you can actually feel more than you've ever felt. But I recall talking with trauma patients, depressed patients, and others who didn't suffer from that particular problem, with couples who lacked a language for positive feeling and who could learn to attune themselves to their partner's feeling. That you could teach what the colors meant, and then ask, where are you today on this or that, and what would it take to feel more? Sometimes it can be a roadmap for a therapist about where to focus your attention. Some people, depending on their philosophy, don't really want to think about orange. That's the sins of the flesh, don't want to go there. But they haven't had very strong spiritual feelings either. And you can inquire about purple. Well, if we want to flip the wheel around, the other side, the high energy, bad feeling, is anxiety to the point of terror. And the low energy, bad feeling is depression. And the opposite of love is hate. The opposite of sensual feeling is pain, physical pain. And the opposite of green, good green, would be feelings of shame and guilt, particularly guilt, a self-punishing feeling. And the bad purple is an existential despair. It's not just being depressed, but it's a conviction that the world and the universe is an unpleasant place. And there are some people who become philosophically suicidal when they move in that direction. I think Camus is an example of that some existentialists have defined existence in terms of meaninglessness and then have gotten past enjoying whatever positive feelings they had. It's all trivialized by a dismal philosophical view.